This previous NBA Finals between the Golden State Warriors and the Cleveland Cavaliers was one of the most exciting NBA series ever. And it was capped off by LeBron James putting on an all-time performance leading his Cavaliers back from a 3-1 deficit against the 73-win Golden State Warriors. Now, of course, this is not the only incredible performance that we've seen in the NBA Finals, and so I'm going to use this video to highlight just a few of the greatest performances that the championship series has ever seen. And these are not necessarily the top 5 ever. The first one, the 1962 NBA Finals, the Boston Celtics and the Los Angeles Lakers. And this one is going to go to Bill Russell. In a heroic 7-game performance, would go on to average 23 points, 27 rebounds, 6 assists, and of course the guy's all-time defense. Now, while that's great at face value, when you dive even more, when you look at his opponent, he was facing off against Jerry West as well as Elgin Baylor. You want to know how they performed in this series? Well, for one, Jerry West put on 31 points per game in this series, which is incredible. And that's not even the best one. Elgin Baylor, you ready for this? This is not a joke. 41 points, 18 rebounds per game for Elgin Baylor in this 7-game series. What really makes this an all-time performance is in Game 7 of these finals, with the Celtics winning by 3 points in overtime, Bill Russell scored 30 of his own, but he also grabbed 40 rebounds, 4-0 in an NBA game to clinch Game 7. Oh, and by the way, a decent amount of his top teammates were in foul trouble, so he was basically up against Jerry West and Elgin Baylor in a Game 7 with a bunch of 2K-generated generic players, and he still pulled it off. Wild stuff. Now, our next one is going to require us to fast forward about 25 years. Celtics-Lakers once again, this time right in the middle of the Magic Johnson-Larry Bird rivalry. Now, this was the rubber match between the two of them because they had already traded NBA Finals in the past, and Magic Johnson put on a heroic performance in this series. The first 2 games were blowouts in LA, including a 20-assist performance in Game 2 by Magic. And while the Celtics would take Game 3 back in Boston, Game 4 is what really solidifies this performance. Because the Celtics, they had a huge momentum going into the fourth quarter of that Game 4, and it seemed they were going to tie it up at 2-all. But Magic Johnson, with a series of mid-range jumpers, would close the gap. And then the last minute of that game was the weirdest sequence that you can find in any basketball game. A Kareem Abdul-Jabbar alley-oop sealed the lead for the Lakers. Larry Bird would hit a 3-pointer to give the Celtics a 2-point lead with about 7 seconds left. And then it was one of Magic's defining moments. It was the skyhook, leaving the Celtics with just 2 seconds left in the game, and Larry Bird missing an outside shot that, to this day, Bill Simmons said, "It should have gone in. It looked like it was good and it just didn't drop." That would seal a 3-1 lead for the Lakers. They would win it in 6, and Magic's totals for the series, 26 points, 13 assists, 8 rebounds, 54% from the field, going up against one of the greatest teams of all time in the Celtics. Now, you knew Michael Jordan was going to be in here. It was just a matter of which series would I pick. We're going to go with 1993 against the Phoenix Suns. And let me just read off some point totals for you. In Game 2, Michael put up 42 points. Game 3, 44 points. Game 4, 55 points for Michael Jordan to secure a 3-1 lead. Now, while Chicago did lose Game 5, he still put up a kind 41 points to give his all. And then in Game 6, it was only a modest performance for Michael. He only put up 33, 8, and 7. You know, just a whatever game, as the Bulls would clinch this in 6 games. And the wild thing about this was, Charles Barkley was having himself a hell of a series as well. I mean, he would go on to average 27 points, 13 rebounds, 6 assists per game, so he was giving Michael all he could handle. But when Michael Jordan averages 41 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists, while shooting over 50% from the field, there's not much you can do, Chuck. Just MJ being MJ. Now, our final 2 are within the last 10 years, so they might be a little bit more edged in your brain. 2006, the Dallas Mavericks and the Miami Heat. Dallas would take a 2-0 lead against Miami, both of those games in Dallas, and it seemed that Dirk and the crew were going to win because they even had a lead in the fourth quarter of Game 3 back in Miami. And then Dwyane Wade happened. And it was not very creative, it was a whole lot of isolations, but Wade, his ability to attack the rim, it was impossible to defend for the Mavericks. And so after their Game 3 comeback with Dwyane Wade doing whatever the hell he wanted, Game 4 was a blowout and the Mavericks could not do anything correctly. Game 5 was huge. Decided by 1 point in overtime, Dwyane Wade continuously taking the Dallas defense one-on-one, and the Mavericks just had no chance. He also attempted a clean 25 free throws, which raised some controversy around the NBA. But with how easily he was getting into the paint, maybe Dallas should have done something about it when he was walking the ball up the court. And so after Dwyane Wade put up 43 points in Game 5 to give Miami a 3-2 lead, Game 6 in Dallas, where he would then attempt 21 more free throws, he contributed 36 points, and the 2-0 deficit, as well as being down double digits in Game 3 in the fourth quarter, was nullified with Dwyane Wade's heroics, and a lot of people call this the greatest performance in the history of the NBA Finals. You can do with it what you wish, but it's pretty damn wild. And now, speaking of comebacks, I mentioned it at the beginning of the video, Cleveland Cavaliers and the Golden State Warriors this very year. Similar situation. Golden State won the first two, and it was just, they were routs, man. It didn't seem like the Cavaliers even belonged on the same floor as the Warriors. I mean, they just couldn't defend them, and the Cavaliers were also not shooting well from the field as well, as much as LeBron James could do. Then Game 4, Golden State came back and made it a 3-1 series. It seemed like it was done. The next 3 games, LeBron James was God mode. Straight unhuman. Game 5 in Golden State, 41 points, 16 rebounds, 7 assists, go in isolation the entire game and Golden State having no answer. Did he get a little bit of help from Draymond being suspended? Yes, but you still have to go out and perform, and he did that. Should give some credit to Kyrie as well. He dropped 41 of his own points. And then Game 6 in Cleveland, he dropped 41 again, as well as 11 assists and 8 rebounds. LeBron, the embodiment of carrying a team with what he did with the Cleveland Cavaliers. And now as for Game 7 back in Golden State, a modest 27 points as well as a triple-double. But this one picture right here just says it all for you. The block shot on Andre Iguodala, 2 minutes left, tie game, sprinting from half court to block Iguodala. And then you know how the last 2 minutes went. Kyrie Irving hits a 3. LeBron seals it with some free throws. Crazy stuff. So there you go. Some of the greatest NBA Finals performances ever. And I'm out.